What's up guys, Joey here, Fugotech, and Vivo's V20 Pro is their latest power-packed mid-range device that not only looks good but also performs great. Apart from being touted as the slimmest 5G smartphone at just 7.39mm, it's also got a few tricks up its sleeve, mainly in the camera department. So today we're gonna test out how this device's front and rear shooters fare. But if you haven't seen our full tour of the V20 Pro just yet, be sure to watch it by clicking up here. Anyways, enough of that, let's get right into it. Okay, so to recap, the V20 Pro is equipped with a total of 5 individual cameras all around, each of which play by their own strengths. At the back of the phone, we have a triple camera setup starting with a 64-megapixel main sensor, followed by an 8-megapixel ultrawide shooter and a 2-megapixel lens for macro photography. Over at the front are the remaining two, boasting a rather large 44-megapixel selfie camera, accompanied by another 8-megapixel ultrawide lens. Now that all of that is out of the way, let's get a little bit more in depth. The Vivo V20 Pro's main camera uses Samsung's 64-megapixel ISOCELL GW1 sensor with an f1.89 aperture. We're getting a 1/72th of an inch sensor size, followed by a pixel size of 0.8 microns. It uses tetracell technology to merge 4 pixels into one that can deliver low light sensitivity equivalent to that of a 1.6 micron pixel image, resulting in greater looking pictures. All in all, images taken from this lens appear very sharp, colors are vivid but not too saturated, and have good dynamic range. You can also see from these side-by-side comparisons that night mode performance is impressive as well, being able to bring back darker elements which can tend to go missing when in normal photo mode. In real-time use, it only takes a few seconds to capture images depending on how much light is actively present. So for really dark environments, you're gonna want to prop this up to something to get the sharpest quality, although shooting handheld is also great on its own. Moving on, if you haven't noticed the labeling on the rear camera module, the V20 Pro's cameras also comes with hybrid zoom. Checking it out, image quality does not seem to change at all when zooming up to 2x, which is great, while bumping it up to 10x digital zoom, which is the maximum, will have some evident loss in detail. Next up, let's give the portrait mode a little peek. Now, the 2-megapixel depth sensor is generally used to capture more depth information when taking photos via the main camera. True enough, shots taken in this mode look very good and have very commendable subject-background separation. We even have the option to change the different filters on the spot should you wish to do so. And of course, we can't miss out on our beauty features here as well if you're also into that sort of thing. And though personally I am not, what I do find really cool here is this other posture tab, which basically grants you a plethora of poses to emulate to activate the inner cover girl inside you. A really great addition, especially for those who have trouble posing for their next Instagram upload. Additionally, when in this mode, we can also adjust our aperture manually from f16 all the way to f.95 to get that perfect level of depth of field. Finally, we have the ultra-wide camera, sporting that 8-megapixel lens with an f2.2 aperture and a field of view of 120 degrees. Now, besides the main shooter, ultra-wide cameras have been a great addition to the world of smartphone cameras, and although not every phone excels in this department, the one on the V20 Pro is definitely nothing short of solid in terms of overall quality. While the details obviously won't be up to par with its 64-megapixel counterpart, what it does a great job at is maintaining overall color and dynamic range. Like, in hindsight, you won't really be able to tell the difference in detail unless you start zooming in on the photo. This is a little bit more prominent when shooting in dim places like indoors or at night, but these all substantially become far less noticeable when snapping photos in bright environments. Additionally, the ultrawide camera also doubles as your macro shooter and actually performs quite well. Macro shots via the ultrawide camera are also of a far higher resolution than your typical macro lens, enabling you to crop in even further if you want. As for video recording, the Vivo V20 Pro is capable of recording up to a resolution of 4K at 30 to 60 FPS and is backed up by Vivo's Gyro EIS, making for very smooth videos that easily pass as a suitable backup for content creators. Slow-mo also works like a charm, letting you record up to 1080p at 120 FPS or 720p at 240 FPS, as you can see in these sample clips. Now at the front of the V20 Pro resides yet another highlight, which is its dual front-facing cameras consisting of a 44 megapixel main sensor with IAF tracking and an 8 megapixel ultrawide shooter. It offers pretty much the same flexibility as the rear, letting you adjust your aperture as long as you're in portrait mode. Shots from the front are just as great as the rear cameras, especially with that IAF tracking feature, enabling you to automatically focus on the eyes continually to keep images as sharp and crisp as possible. The 8 megapixel front-facing ultrawide is super helpful as well and eliminates the need for your friends to crowd over you just to get in frame. It's also pretty handy if you want to capture something fairly large behind you, so this might be a great phone for traveling as well. And as for video, it also supports up to 4K at both 30 and 60 FPS, and it also has its own electronic stabilization called Steady Face, which is enough to make just about any casual vlog look a little bit more professional. And that about wraps it up for the Vivo V20 Pro's camera features. Not only do we get a selection of cameras that have superb quality, they achieve this whether it's photos or videos, whether it's the rear camera or the selfie camera, and whether you're shooting in nice bright lighting or in low light. So if you guys are looking for a smartphone with impressive image quality, you're looking at a great choice with the Vivo V20 Pro. If you guys want to know a bit more about how this device performs in depth, we'll be having an upcoming video about that, so stay tuned. And if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, subscribe to our channel for more content, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads, and be sure to visit yugotech.com for the latest tech news and reviews. Again, this has been Joey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.